Welcome to the third of the Industry Insider interviews. My name is Moira McPartlin and I am the scriever for the Federation of Writers Scotland. And in the Industry Insider interview series, I am talking to professionals from the book industry and with a view to bring you some ideas and pointers to help you in your own writing business. Today I am delighted to welcome Liz Moffat. Liz is a Chartered Librarian of 38 years experience and she is the Reader Services Librarian with Stirling Council Libraries. I found that librarians are a writer's best friend, so I've invited Liz along to tell us why that is. But before that, I should also point out that Liz and I are sisters, just in case you're a bit confused about why we look similar. So Liz, welcome to the Industry Insider interviews. First of all, can you tell us just a little bit more about your role in library services?
Well, I started in libraries in 1984, so as you say I've got over 30 years experience now, and I started in Clackmannanshire libraries.
Yeah.
I had a short period in West Lothian libraries, and I've been in Stirling libraries for the past 21 years as Reader Services Librarian latterly. I'm also a senior manager, library manager in the libraries in Stirling. My role as Reader Services Librarian is responsibility for all the book stock in Stirling, whatever format, and also the digital book stock, so all the e-books, e-audio. I'm responsible for reader development in Stirling, so training for the community library officers and other staff in libraries on how to talk about books, how to start up reading groups and put on displays. I'm also responsible for the book festivals, author visits, events in general, book bug and summer reading challenge, and any book related events in Stirling.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's quite a remit you've got there.
Yeah, I've also I've got 4 libraries I manage, and 2 services. So the Young People's Service, which is involved in the book bug and the summer reading challenge, and the outreach services. Both of these services are based at library headquarters. And
that's
outreach,
in Stirling?
Yes, in Stirling. And outreach services is the service to anybody who can't access the service in traditional way of going along to the library. So it's the care homes, it's the housebound, it's prison when it's working and open. So that's mostly the remit.
How does the mobiles fit into that then? Is that a different branch?
The mobiles are based in headquarters as well. I did manage the mobiles for a little while, and the mobiles do deliver a lot of the outreach services for us, so they deliver to the housebound as well while they're out and about. But they cover the whole geographic area of Stirling, and for example the primary schools in the rural areas, they serve every primary school in the area that aren't near a library.
It should be pointed out that Stirling, geographically, Stirling is a huge area to cover.
Yeah, so it's away from Crianlarich in the north, Tyndrum in the north rather, away down to Strathblane, so and everything in between, and eastern villages, Fallen and Cowie, and away to the western villages like Drimmin.
Which is almost at Loch Lomond.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a huge area to cover.
That's great. So how has the role? I mean, there's a lot of young services young people's services in there, the mobile we've spoken about. So how has the role changed in the 30 years that you've been working there?
It's changed immensely.
Because I can remember going to the library 30 years ago and everything was sort of like you had a ticket and everything was sort of stamped and manual and everything like that.
Which was great fun as well. But when I first started in libraries, there were no computers. There was no internet, obviously, no Google, no email. So you can imagine that, all your research came from books and reference books and things in other libraries like the National Library and British Library, and that's changed immensely. So, the introduction of digital services, and we were quite crucial to the People's Network a way back in '99, where people were starting to use computers, and they were putting computers in all, the government were putting computers in all the communities and everything. Libraries were quite central to that, and we recently, digital by default, trying to get everybody out online by 2020. We've been crucial to that as well with our IT and me and our Connecting Scotland computers as well. So yeah, it's changed quite a bit.
Because I know that there's like almost every form that you have to fill in now for everything has to be done online, and that must be really difficult for older people, and I think that's what IT and Me helps with. Is that? Can you just explain a wee bit about that?
Well, IT and Me is it started with groups and coming to the libraries to learn about computers. But it can also be one-to-one, so we recruit volunteers to help with that, and they come in and they can show people one-to-one, and people can come along with their laptops or their tablets or even phones, and we help set up email or just help them get online, and it's really good for older people. I was involved in a project a way back where we were actually taking computers into people's homes along with the housebound service. So and we had our volunteers that were delivering the books, but also delivering IT services to them in their own homes, which was quite a good project as well. So it's that kind of thing expanded, so it's in our libraries as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So my next question was actually what services do you offer? So I think you kind of answered that, but is there any other things that you can think of, the other services that the libraries offer? Yeah,
well, the reader services, the reading groups getting set up, I went through in the early 2000s, just after I started in Stirling, I went through an extensive reader development training programme along with all the other 31 authorities, librarians, the equivalent to my role. Went through some training, and that's when a lot of the reading groups started. So we provide, we've got reading groups in almost all our libraries. We provide reading group collections, and that's when we were able to really start recommending books and talking to readers. And I developed that training for our staff as well. So they are all trained in reader development and how to meet readers' needs. So that's that service. Obviously, we've got the book festival as well, and the small print festival, and other than reader services, we've got the digital services, which we've covered, but it also covers makerspace. So we've got makerspace. We started with 3D printers, but it's developed since there. So a lot of laser cut machines, and there's a new makerspace in Bannockburn Library, so that's got a jewellery making machine, that's just been set up. There's going to be a sewing machine, so any maker stuff. So it's not just 3D printing, it's anything digital really, and it's just really to get children and young people involved in some of the STEM subjects and learning, how to use the technology and everything, get them up to speed with that. So, but older people as well, it's for anybody, maker spaces. So,
oh, that's brilliant.
So that's really been a big development in recent years.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Young People's Services has the book bug, which is very popular, you know, in all the libraries. We've got book bug in almost every library. And
is that so that's where the younger children come along, right? It's like
babies,
storytelling,
right from babies, so
yeah.
they learn about books and singing with their parents, because their parents are coming along with them, and parents learn how to, you know, tell stories and sing, and it's well, not just learn, but just develop that, and just have fun, really. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
So most people watching this video today will be writers, but they're also readers. So what does the libraries, Stirling libraries, offer writers? You've mentioned book festivals and events, but can you sort of expand on that a bit?
Yeah, so that's obviously one of the main things that we can offer is we hold a lot of events throughout the year, and we also have the Small Print Festival in March, and we have the Off the Page Festival in May, and we take part in Book Week Scotland as well, and we apply for Scottish Book Trust funding. They're really good for giving us funding for authors, the live literature funding.
So that's the live literature funding. If anybody doesn't know, most people will know what that is, but if not, I'll put the link to it in the box below the video. So
yeah, so we get funding for that. So obviously that's our go-to list, is the list of authors that are on the live literature database.
Yeah.
So you know, that's crucial. So that funds a lot of our events. So that's really good. That's one thing.
That's really important for authors as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to, if we get that funding, they part fund us, so we put up half of the funding. But it goes a long way to putting on the festival. As I say, we've got the reading groups, and the reading groups love reading new authors' work, and often when they do read a collection of work, they want to see and hear the author, so that, you know, that's a good way is to make friends with the reading groups really, that we have. There's obviously the public lending right in libraries, so where you get, every time your book gets borrowed, you get, you know, some funding for that.
And that includes the e-books as well.
Yeah, that's e-books. Yeah, we've recently had a sample, so it works on sampling. So if so it's, you know, it's best to get your books out to as many libraries as possible, authorities as possible, because if somebody has been sampled, it's good if your book's in amongst that sample, and it works on that. So yeah, we've recently taken part in it, but it was during lockdown, so it was the e-books that we were mainly targeting for that public lending right. Yes.
So again, if there's anybody that doesn't know about that, I'll put the link for the public lending rights website as well, so that if you've got books that aren't already on there, then you can put your books on there.
And there's also the library spaces, so a lot of authors come to us and ask if they can launch their book with us. So
I've done that.
And we've got that space. Yeah, we do a lot in Stirling, you know, so authors local to us. So it's an idea to go to if you're wanting a book launch, to go to your library in your area and ask, you know, if they'll do it. And we just really provide the space, and the author brings along their books and you know, food and drink, or if they want that, and so we can provide the venue there. So that's the other thing that we can do for libraries. And obviously there's all the research that you can, you know, do in libraries.
Yeah,
and
really.
Got a good reference library in our central library.
You have a market, the Federation of Writers have a market as well as a Scriever, and Stirling has their own marker.
Yeah, we've got so our marker, Stirling marker is Laura Fife this time, and she has a poem of the month every month, so she promotes poetry, and she encourages people to write poetry, and she's really, you know, highlighting poetry in the Stirling area as well. So that's really great.
Yeah, it's good that.
Yeah.
So we're constantly hearing about libraries under threat. There has been a couple of campaigns in Glasgow to keep some libraries open. What's the situation with Stirling libraries?
Well, I mean, libraries are a core service.
Yes.
But in Stirling, we've got a great deal of investment in libraries, a great deal of support from our elected members, from the public, from our senior managers. They see the worth of libraries, and they see that we've got a library in almost every community, and where we don't, we've got a mobile library. So they've invested in new mobiles, they're investing in maker spaces, and they've always been a great support. Everybody's been a great support to libraries in Stirling. So we make sure that we adapt and change as services need that change, and as times need that change. And we can adapt, and we like working with people, and people can recognise that. And because we've got a space, we've got the mobile libraries have an extra seat on them now, so that if services want to go out to our rural communities, they can go out in mobile and promote their services as well, and meet people in the rural communities.
I didn't know that. That's good. Yeah. I certainly am a member of Stirling Libraries, and every time I use the library a lot, and every time I go, it's fantastic, and you always get a great welcome. There's always loads of people in, and reading papers, and lots of children, and it's great.
It's great to see the children coming in and getting excited, about all the books. We've got a great book stock, and a good book budget, and so there's a steady supply of books, both physical and digital. So, and that makes a big difference as well. It's not it's not just maker spaces and things, but
lending is much still there.
Yes.
So what do you think the future holds then for libraries? I mean, it sounds as though you're already doing tons, but what is the future for Stirling and Stirling Libraries? What
just to keep progressing, and we've just opened our new makerspace in Bannockburn, and there's a makerspace coming in Cowie. There's a new library coming in Strathblane. They've been in a portakabin for...
I know, I remember Strathblane library.
Quite small space, and that's community backed, the Strathblane library as well, as well as the council. So that's really exciting. So we just keep adapting and adding services on where we need to, and we've got also, we're working with the NHS, and we've got hearing aid batteries in our libraries now that people can go and pick up.
That's great.
And we've got Keep Well books, and
we get our food bags there, food bags for the caddies. Get them there in the library.
Yeah, so we're happy to work with anybody. And I think that that keeps their future. That keeps their future going.
Yeah, really.
If we're showing our worth, and people recognise our worth in Stirling, been really lucky.
Yeah. So, is there anything that writers can do to help support the libraries then?
Keep writing. Can't survive without your books. Writers are great advocates of libraries as well, and I've just finished a book, Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr, and he's
the guy that wrote All the Light You Cannot See. Oh, that's a great book. Yeah,
Cloud Cuckoo Land's good as well, and but probably because I'm a librarian, because he's really up in the he's looking at libraries through the ages and how
is it non-fiction?
No, it's fiction. It's fiction, but libraries play a part. I think and it's dedicated to a librarian, and it's set in sort of 3 timelines, and through the timelines a library always features. So he's a great advocate in libraries, really. Yeah.
Oh.
So that.
Is that book in the library? I'll need to get that.
Yeah, it's a really good book, and it's on ebooks as well. So I really enjoyed it. What else can you do for us? Yeah, just as I say, reading groups are always happy to host authors, and so yeah.
So it's really just a case of talking to your libraries and saying, well, what can I do then?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's great. We're just starting to come out of this horrific pandemic, and everything's changed. How did COVID affect the library services?
Well, obviously, we were shut down, we were locked out, as everybody, all services were. But our IT services really kicked in immediately. Our staff, it was amazing how they adapted to working from home and still, thought of other ways to meet readers' needs. We have a lot of recirculated stock that, because we've got the 16 libraries, a lot of the stock move around, and we've got recirculated stock in libraries. So right at the beginning of the pandemic, we had quite a stock built up, so we withdrew that. We put the books into the supermarkets that were still open. They were still open, and people could go along and just pick up a book from there for a start.
So that was just not to borrow, just to take.
Just to take away if they wanted. They could bring it back if they wanted, but we had already quarantined them before we put them into all the supermarkets, and that a lot of venues were happy to take them. So we did that. That was in the first couple of weeks. We got the books all withdrawn and boxed up and put to different venues for people to just pick up. And the staff were thinking, how can we meet readers' needs? And they started to develop lots of social media content, things like quizzes for children. The quizzes for children were great. And reader recommendations and different tasks for people to do online, and just always thinking of content to put on, so that we were keeping in touch with readers. A lot of the community libraries were still phoning their readers and keeping in touch with them. Our housebound service, we were keeping in touch with them to make sure they were okay. And then gradually as things started to open up again, we started with the click and collect, and everybody loved that because it meant that it was a wee bit like the housebound service, where we built up a profile of somebody and made up books for them, and they came along, collected them, and just what it said. Come along to the front door and collected them from our staff.
So you picked them?
We picked them all for, so obviously the staff picked them for the readers. They knew their readers, and so that it was reader development in the truest sense, because they would put in something, they might like this, they might not, but put that in as a wee extra. So and actually, since we've had appointments, people still wanted that. People still wanted us to pick them. So some people did. Other people were happy to come back to browsing, so we came back to browsing with appointment system. There was a huge, at the beginning, investment in the ebooks. So we had masses of new ebooks online. We developed the online join-in form, so people could join online and borrow a book online. So they weren't really, if they were online, they were able to still get books from us. And of course we've got the newspapers. That's the other thing, for writers, we've got all the newspapers. So we've got the press reader, the newspapers cover all the different countries. So if you wanted France's perspective on something, you could go to press reader and get Paris Match or Le Monde, or and borrow that. So we've got that as well. So click and collect, and then back to people can book computers and come back to computer use as well and come into the libraries. And we've just taken it gradually and brought staff along with us along the way so that everybody felt safe. Got lots of protection in place and following all the guidelines with masks and everything. So, and now we're just getting back to groups. So we're getting the groups back to libraries. The book bug, we've had a couple of pilots of that. It's worked really well. Obviously we have to keep the numbers low at the moment, and we're starting to get the reading groups back to the libraries as well. And we've had, we've still managed to carry on with book festivals. Not in the first year, not in 2020, but 2021 we worked with our digital team and we were able to put online events on for this. We held small print and we held off the page in 2021, and this year we've had small print, a hybrid of online and live events, not classes to the library which we normally do, but we've taken the author to the school because they're used to meeting in their groups, and we did that this year. And again, off the page this year will be a mix of hybrid and a hybrid of online and in-person events, so we're gradually emerging and people are coming back.
So I mean, it really is fascinating just to hear everything that the libraries does. I mean, I'm a member of Stirling Libraries, and I mean, I know roughly what you did, but there's just so much. It's not just a case of going into your library, getting a book and getting it stamped, and there is so much that you do. It's incredible. So finally, we're almost at the end, but I'm sure lots of people are interested in this question. As a librarian, you've got all these, surrounded by all these books. How do you choose? What do you choose to read for pleasure?
I'm seeing books all the time. I read a lot. I get a lot of recommendations, obviously. I get a lot of recommendations from people, and I like a good recommendation. I think everybody does. So that's one way I choose my books, I choose the reading group collection as well, so I'm always looking at new books and, reading blurbs and things. So I get ideas from there as well. I'm in a reading group, and that's a great way for expanding my reading. I've got a big taste, an eclectic taste in reading, mainly contemporary fiction, but recently I've been reading some classics because of the reading group, really. And other books, I love other books that recommend books. So I read American Dirt, and that led me to The Grapes of Wrath, because they said it was like it, and I read that recently. And I read some non-fiction as well, and I've usually got a fiction and a non-fiction on the go at the same time. So, but I'm open to anything.
That's brilliant.
It's great.
Thank you very much, Liz, for coming along today and speaking for the Federation of Writers members. I'm sure they'll be fascinated with what you've got to say. And I'd just like to thank you for watching as well today. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll put the links for the live literature funding database and also the Public Lending Right website. I'll put that in the box below the video. So once again, thanks Liz for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time for the next Industry Insider interview. Bye-bye.
Bye.